In this video, we'll be taking a look at 6 college football games, and I'll break them all down with free winning picks so you can bet smarter and win bigger. But first, smash that subscribe button and ring the bell so you get our picks the second they drop, because when the lines move, the early birds cash in. And if you want the full Winning Sport Picks experience, head over to WSPicks.com and check out our VIP packages, or grab a free consultation with one of our professional sports consultants for the sharpest edge you'll find anywhere. That's where the real plays live. We are your bookmaker's worst nightmare. These are the games we're hammering, the ones the books can't afford you to bet. This is Winning Sport Picks. The free picks are about to drop, and they're coming in hot. Missouri State taking on Liberty is one of those matchups where the psychological rhythm of the game may matter just as much as the physical execution. Missouri State tends to operate best when they can stretch drives, tilt the field, and pull opponents into long decision-making sequences where mistakes surface. Liberty, meanwhile, thrives when the environment becomes more compressed, when their structure takes over and the opponent starts feeling each yard come at a premium. Missouri State's strength comes from leaning into discomfort, forcing opponents to defend multiple types of sequences per drive. Liberty prefers a cleaner, more predictable script where they can control possession flow and squeeze out opportunities. The game likely becomes a test of patience, who holds serve longest, who panics first, and who manages the middle 8 minutes without giving away momentum. Missouri State wants a battle. Liberty wants control. It becomes a slow burn chess match where every stalled drive carries consequences. UAB versus Rice brings a contrast built around discipline and resilience. UAB tends to lean into momentum football. When they find rhythm early, they can stack possessions and put real pressure on opponents. Rice is almost the opposite. They're built for composure, slowing games down and forcing opponents to prove themselves on sustained sequences. UAB needs the game to stay loose, with field position flips and situational bursts that turn small wins into multi-drive swings. Rice wants predictability, possession stability, and a tempo that feels almost suffocating for opponents. This matchup comes down to first down identity. If Rice keeps themselves on schedule, they dictate everything. If UAB disrupts that rhythm, they flip the game into something Rice doesn't enjoy. It's a game defined less by explosive moments and more by cumulative pressure. Maryland against Rutgers is all about emotional control. Maryland often thrives when games become free-flowing, when timing and rhythm create opportunities. Rutgers prefers structure, compression, and defensive density that forces opposing offenses into uncomfortable pacing. Maryland wants verticality in tempo, not necessarily explosive plays, but the sense of forward motion that loosens defenses. Rutgers counters with resistance, shorten the field, shrink the pace, eliminate comfort. This becomes a matchup of leverage situations, third downs, red zone snaps, and clock sequences that test discipline. Maryland's edge comes from unpredictability. Rutgers comes from enforcing rigidity. Expect stretches where both teams look in control, only for the next sequence to flip the entire tone of the game. Mercer versus Western Carolina is a stylistic clash where physicality and composure are the main resources. Mercer tends to rely on sustained defensive pressure, trying to make every opponent rep feel heavy. Western Carolina enjoys rhythm, spacing, and opportunities to apply accumulating stress across possessions. Mercer wants the game to feel like a weight. Western Carolina wants it to feel like a flow. The outcome hinges on who shapes the environment. If Mercer forces long drives with limited margin for error, Western Carolina loses the fluidity that makes them dangerous. But if Western Carolina opens up tempo and starts dictating spacing, Mercer can quickly find themselves trying to hang on rather than pressuring the game. Both teams will have windows. The winner will be whichever side capitalizes during those quiet stretches when momentum sits up for grabs. East Carolina taking on Charlotte creates a matchup defined by pressure tolerance. East Carolina prefers a controlled, authoritative pacing, a game where they dictate structure and eliminate chaos. Charlotte wants volatility, wants the game to breathe, wants sequences where pressure shifts suddenly and catches opponents misaligned. East Carolina's advantage comes from discipline and limiting self-inflicted wounds. Charlotte's path comes from unsettling rhythm, creating pockets of uncertainty and forcing ECU to adjust more than they're comfortable with. Expect this game to hinge on defensive stamina and whether Charlotte can stretch ECU into uncomfortable tempo shifts. Tulsa versus Florida Atlantic presents an interesting dynamic where both teams hold strengths that rely on environmental control. Tulsa leans on unpredictability, momentum swings, and sequences where the game speeds up unexpectedly. Florida Atlantic prefers calm, structured possessions that gradually build pressure. Tulsa is at their best when they pull opponents into a reactive mode, forcing quick decisions and unexpected field changes. FAU thrives when they flatten the tempo and reduce volatility to almost zero. This becomes a game where whichever team gets to impose its tempo first may ride that advantage for a long stretch. Tulsa wants chaos-based leverage. FAU wants stabilizing pressure, a matchup defined by pacing and adaptability. Now listen to me, those are the free picks, but the one game I am unloading on tonight, the game that's going to crush your bookie's soul, that's the VIP play of the day at WSPicks.com. This is the nuke, the hammer, the max bet, the one play I've circled, the game that will bury your bookmaker 6 feet under. When it hits, and it will, your bookie is going to need a doctor, a lawyer, and maybe even a priest. If you want to ride with me on the biggest bet of the day, get to WSPicks.com right now. Here's your recap. Missouri State +8 and the over 51. Rice -1 and the over 52.5. Maryland +2.5 and the over 57. Western Carolina +6.5 and the over 61.5. Charlotte +28.5 and the over 56. Tulsa +3 and the over 62.5. This is Winning Sport Picks, where we don't just bet, we bury bookmakers. Smash that subscribe button, drop your favorite plays in the comments, and hammer that like button like you're hammering your bookie into the dirt. We're cashing, we're dominating, and tonight we're dancing on the grave of your bookmaker. Let's go!